What's happening?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing great. I was looking forward to this conversation, catching up with you a little bit, and
For sure.
I know you never a lack of a lot of exciting and challenging things going on in your world.
For sure.
So what's
Yeah.
good?
Always good. You know what? It's 2024. It's April now, already second quarter, and we're just going to have to stay focused because the market wants to keep challenges every day.
Yeah, it is, and it's always challenging, right? But then you get other and other initiatives involved and other agendas that are out of our control. However, it's definitely the ripple effect that we get to deal with. So it's, I think, really challenging. And I was texting Sloan back and forth last night. He shared a couple things, kind of my I always joke, if I want the truth, I either go listen to Rogan or I call Blake, and I get the truth from them too. And he always goes down the rabbit hole, and obviously follow the money, and you can start to understand really what's going on. And I think understanding from a business owner is super important, because we need as much information as required to make the decisions for not only ourselves but for the people that are looking to us for leadership and guidance. And I joked back to him a little bit last night, because one of the we've all had those memorable business and life conversations. And I remember it was March of 20, when all the craziness and things was going on and so much uncertainty. And I just had a great conversation with him about, he's like, the only way out of this is, the only way that we'll get out of any situation is we have to lead ourselves out of it. And so I joked with them a little bit last night. I said, I think somebody once told me the only way out of this is that we've got to lead through this. And he's LOL back, because it's so true, right? From a leadership perspective, and all of the, things that are coming our way, and not only leading ourselves, but then we got to go back and, make sure the vision is still the vision, and being able to articulate it and convey it to the team, and then remove those obstacles, and keep everybody, focused on the main thing. So, how have you guys been navigating, that, how are those conversations unfolding with your team? And obviously then it carries into the clients, and then it carries into the community. I mean, how have you guys been navigating that?
I think, especially when the market shifted, it's been almost 2 years. It started that shift in June of 22. It's like, this is insane that we're still
Right.
dealing with this, but we are. And, for so long, like it was temporary, like, oh, this is going to be a short lived thing. And then a year goes by, and then it's like, oh, surely this is about to change. And it's relentless. And I think at the end of the day, as a business owner, it's a reminder, don't get comfortable ever, because 3 years ago when the market was great and money was coming in like crazy and homes were flying off the market and everything was great, everyone was going to conferences and travel had just opened back up, and it was great, right? Well, this year at the end of 23, I took a hard look at everything, the vision, the mission, like where do we want the end of 24 to look like? And just what if the market doesn't turn around and we have another freaking rocky year? What do we need to stay focused on? And what I got really crystal clear was, number one, I got fed up with people not doing their jobs, fed up with people not doing what they said they were going to do. And then also getting really clear on what I'm going to say yes and no to. And I'm one that's like overcommitted. I say yes to things that I shouldn't. Because people are like, oh, I need help with this. Will you get on the board of this? And we need you on the board of this. And you want to help them, but it's like, all right, at the end of the day, you're pulling me out of the areas where I need to stay focused. And I had a guy reach out to me last week, and he was at a conference and we weren't there, and it's one that we would normally go to, right? And he's like, where are you at? He's doing a live, and he's like, where are you at? Why aren't you here? And I said, look, I would love to be there, but this year I'm only going to things that are going to help us get to where
Yeah.
we need to be at the end of 24. I'm being very strategic in our travel for business, period. You
Yeah.
have to.
I think it's the, getting into a couple things there, right? From a thinking perspective, and you and I, we talk about this. We've talked about this, and it's like the most important thing is the way we think, and the way we think in terms of growth, the way we think in terms of success, and a couple things you said in there, and they're not bad until they no longer serve you, right? Like one of the thought processes is always say yes until you have to
Yep.
say no, and that's great for some people that are in some stages of their business and their career and their life. So there's definitely a lot of great advice. But I think more so right now is really falling into the number one productivity tool, and that's the word no. And less is more. And I think growth through subtraction is one of the mindsets that a lot of people need to really look at and embrace, and come back to, we're definitely in a headwind. I had a great call with Expert Mentors yesterday with Anna, who's in the Raleigh area. She's in Tina Call's market. That's what we were joking. We were just like, oh yeah, I'm in Tina Call's market. I got you. I know where you're at. And she goes, which is was the entire state, right? That's Tina Call's market.
Yeah.
And so, she had a really good distinction. She goes, I was, when I came in, 2021, she goes, I built my business in a tailwind, and I had to make sure that, I was putting a foundation in place, because that wind is going to change. It is always going to change. And no matter what, right, it's a great reminder for our business, but for our lives, right, is ride the tailwind, but make sure that you're doing the things in the tailwind, because when it stops, what's going to happen? And so being able to have a solid foundation, moving into the headwind is so important. And it has to start with our thinking, and how we think about the situation, and what it is we're trying to accomplish.
I think, John, if anything that we should have learned from COVID is that we have no idea what tomorrow brings. Like, we've been slapped in the face every freaking year with some wild thing. Now we got this NAR thing that's all over the news, and it's consuming people. And we have no idea what that's going to look like, and how the rest of this year is going to pan out. What we do know is that there's fear among our industry, and fear is not a good thing. A confused mind just says no. People are freaking out. So not only do we have homes not selling, now we've got agents freaking out, and we've got people coming out and doing all kinds of, unethical things, or they shouldn't be. I was downtown Houston yesterday. We were at a conference, and we were walking through downtown. And I'm not a what ifer at all, but I was thinking, and part of the reason we're at this conference is just to grow another revenue stream, right? That's what we always do. But because you have to think, the average agent doesn't think like, what if the real estate industry actually comes to like a stop? And what if people aren't actually buying and selling homes? We know they always will, but we are at a point where people aren't doing it as much, and their industry is inundated with agents. So you have to think like, what would that look like for you? Are you preparing yourself for that what if moment? And people are not, John. They're not.
No, they don't think in terms of that way, right? They don't think of contingencies, and maybe I learned this maybe in the new construction side of things, right? When we're in the building phases and doing a lot of those type of projects before I got into came into real estate. But we always had to factor in, and I think this is a good lesson, right? We always had to factor in a contingency, and kind of industry standard, is 5 to 7% that you would have to kind of factor in as a contingency, and it's just for the things that miss, the unforeseens, the things that you don't know, something you missed in your bid, additional add-ons that you try to get that extra bump. Maybe they don't give it to you, but you still got to factor that. You still got to factor that piece in. And, You hear all of those out there, I am plan B. There is no alternative. I will. That's great until it's not, right?
Yeah.
And this is what I always, I always come back to, the Mike Tysonism of, everybody's got a great plan until they get punched in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And then that just, it goes to shit. And if
Yes.
you don't have a foundation, and I think, for me, and I'd love to hear kind of your take on it. To me, it just comes back down to the values, right? Comes back
Yep.
down to the values, comes back down to, why we do what we do, which ultimately comes back to the vision. And I think once you have that vision, then, when you do get punched in the face, I think that's what everybody needs to understand. It's not that you're not going to get punched in the face. It's going to happen. And I would rather see it coming than a 2x4 as you're turning the corner that you don't see coming.
Right. Yeah. You know what? You told me something years ago. You've told me a lot of things, but you've said so many things to me that have stuck and really have transformed my mind. One of them, and I think it was like, I don't even know how long, 6 or 7 years ago, you told me about getting clarity, right? And defining, like, you have to figure out, Trisha, like, what do you want your life to look like? What does 5, 10, 20, 30 years from now look like? And then reverse engineer it. Then you have to figure out your year, and then your month, and then your week, and then your day. And I do that every single day. I'm not there yet because it keeps changing and I keep changing. And I don't know anyone, and maybe I'm just not clear on that. I don't know anyone, I don't think, that has that perfect day and life figured out yet. Because again, if you're a business owner, it's constantly changing and you're having to tweak things. But we have really had to stay laser focused on that in my world, because there has been so much change and things that you didn't see coming. You got blindsided and you got slapped. And it's like, holy crap, I did not see this coming. And I think there's so many people in the world that are lost right now, number one. And number two, they are getting hit and they are getting blindsided, and they're not sustaining that. Like, you got to have grit to be able to go through these trenches that we're in right now. You got to be able to have strength to endure it and to not just want to quit and retreat and go back to whatever or find another easier way, right? And there's not an easier way. Not if you stay crystal clear on your vision and you know what you want that to look like. And I think so many people accept, like, oh, maybe it's going to be too hard. Maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Maybe I can't get there. I'll just do this instead. And it's like, man, I don't know. That's not what we're here for. Not in my world,
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think
no.
it's hard. It's very hard.
It's very hard. It's very hard. And, everything worth pursuing in life is uphill. And, you said complacency a little bit earlier. And, I'm of the belief that you're either growing or you're dying. And
sure.
comfort is complacent, and complacent is not growing.
No.
And so, it's they're both hard. You can choose the heart of staying complacent, or you can choose the heart of moving forward. And I'm choosing the heart of moving forward every day and being better. But I think being all the way rounded, and there's never such thing as, I think I've told you this before, balance to me is just being present wherever you're at. And there's no, the wheel of life is never round, right? There's things that we're deficient in, and there's things that there's a surplus in, and where our time and our energy. And as we know, the only thing that's constant is change.
Oh, for sure.
And so I think too, Trish, with kind of where things are at and how you navigate it, everything falls back on leadership. And I think the very first thing, especially as the responsibility that, and everybody listening to this, everybody has a leadership responsibility, because there are people in their life that are looking for them for direction and guidance and support. And that could be your kids, that could be your siblings, that could be your parents, that could be, your team, that could be, your clients, your community. They're like, never, ever forget that as a leader, which everybody listening to this, you are a leader, which means you're always on stage. The camera is always on. And this thought exercise that I shared, I know I haven't shared it with you, but I think if more people would just imagine that their life is being actually streamed, not what they want to portray their life to be, but what it really is, yet it's only streamed to the people that they say they care about the most, and it's streamed live right on their device. Do you think their behavior would be significantly different if the people that they say they love the most, their kids, their parents, their spouse, right? The people they're working with, their business partner, if they're employed, their boss, right? Do you believe that their behavior would change if it was that visible?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is sad,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's true.
It is.
You know,
And yeah, so for you, I mean, as a leader, and like we said, so that's the first rule of leadership, is leading by example. So like for you, what keeps you grounded in kind of that mental checklist? Because like we got to kind of go through the process every day, reminding ourselves of as much as we want it to be just instinctive and that's just the way it is. It's like, no, we got to be intentional. But what is that foundation, that framework for you that you keep yourself grounded on a daily basis?
for me, it's that morning routine. And I said it to my daughter a couple of weeks ago because I work my face off still. I'm obsessed. I am obsessed with what I do. I'm obsessed with growth. I'm obsessed with building things. And my daughter doesn't get it. She's young and she's passive. She's not like me. And so she's like, Mom, like, when are you going to stop working? Like, you work every single day. You never take days off. Like, when are you going to like stop? And I said, well, I'm not. I said, you don't understand. Like, I can see what I'm building. Like, I see it happening, and I know what it takes to get where I want to be and where I'm going to be. And I'm okay with that. There's no days off right now because I can't let off the gas because number one, then momentum drops. And number two, I will lose my momentum as well. And I told her, I said, brighter days are coming. And she said, you've been saying that to me for my whole life, I think. And I go, because it's true. I believe that. And I believe that we go through this grit and this grind that we're in right now. And some days are harder than crap. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to deal with these people today. I don't want to deal with our team. I don't want to go to this. I don't want to lead the sales meeting today. I don't even want to show up today. But you know what? I said that I would, and I'm going to stand on that. And my word has meant everything for as long as I can remember. If I say I'm going to do something, I am. And so there's no way that I can get up and lead people and keep my mental state if I don't get my alone time in the mornings to get my mind, body, and soul right. I just can't, because there's too much out there. And it's like you can be in the heat of like, I can't do this right now, like all that mental limiting beliefs. But you look at your clock and it's like 9 o'clock is go time, right? So boom, it's like off. Game on, and it's like boom, people are not gonna see me weak. They're not gonna see me weak. They're not gonna see me broken. They're never gonna see me fold. And for me to maintain that and maintain that level of energy that I'm known for, it takes that like super dark focus every single day by myself to get my mind right, because the mind's a battlefield.
Yeah. And two, that's where the physical push element, side of things come in as well, right? Because, our minds, and this is why, it's a constant practice, right? Because, our minds are wired to protect us. So doing hard things and pushing through is not normal, right? Because, we're wired as humans, for safety. And so, that's for me, that's why, I continue to push hard on the endurance side of things, because it's just a constant reminder of, reminding myself, because my body is capable of so much more of who's really in charge.
Yeah.
And so it's so important to do that. But I think, how it all goes together, and it's kind of where I was going with the balance side of things, is that you still have to, make yourself the best version of yourself every day. It's the whole oxygen mask theory, and why, like, if you don't put the oxygen mask on you first, then you try to take care of everybody else, you're no good to them.
No.
So you've got to do the things. And it's like, for me, and I know you're super early, but you need that early time to be able to reset and recalibrate, and it's daily. And so it's the physical, it's the quiet, some type of mindfulness, some type of prayer, some type of meditation to recharge the mind. The physical, lifting things, right? We have to lift some heavy stuff because that releases, the chemicals in our body to help us keep stress levels low. So we've got to do the physical.
Yep.
We've got to do the mindfulness. We've got to, get our bodies moving. And, as humans, ladies need 10 to 12,000 steps a day. Think about that for a second. Us guys, we're built for 12 to 15,000 steps a day. You don't know what that is? Go get a damn Fitbit. Go get a damn watch and track your steps, because the more you move, this all works together, right? And what it does is it keeps our stress levels low, because we're pushing. And if we're not doing the things to recalibrate ourselves daily, then that stress level takes over, and then that causes paralysis. That will cause you to become paralyzed and not take any action because you're so stressed and you don't know what to do. And people are like, well, I can't do anything about it. Bullshit. You know what you can do? You can go for a walk. You can go pick up something. You can, sit in silence. You can jump on a meditation app. You can jump on YouTube and pull up something of mindfulness. You can do those things. But the biggest thing, and I came back to said earlier, Trish, was no matter what happens, it always falls back on our values.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the most important component. Yeah, we need to be physically capable to be able to have the ability to help ourselves emotionally and mentally. But if we're not aligned to who we are spiritually, nothing else matters.
Mm-mm.
Nothing else matters. You're playing on a deck of cards. Like it's just your life. Your life is like a house of cards if you're not in tune to who you are spiritually, and that's an alignment to who you are in your values. And I'm so grateful that I now have somebody in my life that keeps me grounded to who I am in my values from a spiritual. We're not talking about religion. That's a whole nother important conversation. But what I'm talking about is who we're aligned to ourselves spiritually, because this is what I want everybody to get, because everything rises and falls on leadership.
Yep.
And you don't like where your life or your business is, it's because it's in direct proportion to the size of your leadership capabilities. You want a bigger business, you got to be a bigger, better leader. And it has to start with you. And you've got to check yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and most importantly, spiritually, because that's your values. And are you living in tune to that? Because you know who will sniff that out real fast?
Mm-hmm.
The people that are closest to you.
Oh, yeah.
They see it. They're like, dude, something's off.
Yeah.
And typically what's off, Trish, is that we're not in tune or aligned to who we are at our core. And so, proximity is everything. You got to check that first. You got to check who's in your circle, who's in your inner circle. And, back to my favorite quote, right? If the people in your circle don't inspire you, you don't have a circle, you have a cage.
Yes.
And,
it's so true. But, I think too, fed up is like the biggest thing that I can think right now, because for me, I'm one of the, I'm not confrontational, but I can be. And I'll give you grace and grace and grace and grace. But then when it gets to a point where I'm done and I'm fed up. And I think, like you said, with leadership, like when I get stressed out, this market the last 2 years has been super stressful. I'm a business owner. Like, I'm not laying people off. We had just bought 2.5 acres right when the market shifted. Like, we have an event center. We're like growing, we're acquiring stuff. This was stuff already put into motion, not knowing the market was going to change, not knowing what the next year and a half was going to hold for us. So the stress level was through the roof. It has been. And it can either make you or break you. And it's like, there were times where I'm like, I can't do this. Like, it was almost like a Thelma and Louise moment where I'm like, I just want to drive off a cliff. I don't want to do this anymore. It's too much. But at the end of the day, it's not too much. I've allowed things and people to enter my life or enter the company and do things that I don't agree with. And it's up to me to put a stop to it. Like, you guys are hindering me having that perfect life. These things are a deterrent to me having that perfect 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And am I going to allow that? Or am I going to get fed up and be like, you know what? I'm not okay with this, and we're done here.
Right.
And I stand firm, and I have been. I did a lot of soul searching. I got COVID for the second time around, right before it was at Thanksgiving, and usually I get it with other people. This time I got it by myself, so I had to get confined by myself for like 3 days in this room where I'm at right now. And so I was like a mad scientist. I was like writing all over my whiteboards and like, what do I want my life to look like? And what do I want to be doing? And who do I want to spend time? Like, I went super deep in it and really clear on what I want it to look like. And I came out of that, like, I'm not going to allow this. We're not doing this. I don't really care if you come or go, because you're not in alignment with what I believe. And when I see other people that have reached a level of success that I know I'm capable of being at, and I'm just not there yet, it's not coveting that. It's being inspired by that, and then figuring out, okay, they're no smarter than me. They certainly aren't working any harder than me, because I will work my face off. What is it that I'm not doing or need to be doing to get there? Or what do I need to let go of? Or who do I need to let go of to get to there? And again, John, it goes back to clarity. And I think the world has gotten so busy, it has, and so many distractions are coming at us constantly that you lose clarity, and it's so easy to do. And once clarity is gone, then you're just in reactive in all phases of your life, personal relationships, your family, your business, your fitness, like everything, your morning routine, like everything was on shaky ground. And because I was so busy, I'm like, well, then I was like, oh, well, maybe I won't do my full workout today. I'll just do a quick workout, or maybe I'll only read for 10 minutes instead of 45. And it's like, hold on a second. I'm not going to forego those things that I need to feed my mind, body, and soul, because this work thing is on my plate. I'm not.
Yeah.
And for me, I had our team about 3 weeks ago. I put in our sales meeting, put some thinking music on for like 5 minutes. And I said, I want you all to write 10 things on a list that you will be either doing or not doing by the end of 24. And I want this to be like perfect. Like, this is how you build that perfect life. And a couple of mine where I was like, I am not going to continue to work 7 days a week. By the end of 2024, I'm going to learn to take at least one day off a week, full day, like not answering my phone, not doing anything, just unplug. That's one of mine. I don't like cooking, but I don't like ordering meal prep all the time, because a lot of times it tastes like rubber. So I was like, one of my things is I want to have someone that comes in on every Sunday and cooks food for me for the entire week, because I don't want to have to do it. But it's things like that. Like, when you can see that this is what I want my life to look like. And okay, then what do you have to do in order to achieve these things by the end of this year? And it's an amazing exercise, because you can get crystal clear on, this I absolutely hate doing, and I'm not going to continue doing this anymore. We got one shot at this life. Why do we want to continue doing things that we absolutely dread and don't enjoy? We shouldn't.
No, absolutely. I wholeheartedly. So, sharing some of those exercises in there, right? And I think, maybe even the reminder is that we need to do these exercises more often. And, kind of really what you're uncovering here is, really what are my strengths, but also really what are my weaknesses,
Yes.
and how can I continue to do more of my strengths? And, the magic in our business is, what are we the best in the world at? And what is our brand and our promise that we want to make to the market that is starving, that we're best equipped to help solve problems for?
Yep.
And I think it's just having those checklist of things. For us, we're in those 90-day cycles. Sometimes maybe you need to operate in 30-day cycles instead of the 90-day, right? Because I think, as things are more chaotic and you're moving a lot faster through challenges and obstacles, you maybe have to bring that down to 30 days instead of 90, right? Because that's strategy. And understanding what we're talking about here is that, talking about clarity is that we always are planning and thinking about the future. We strategize in those 90-day, sometimes 45, someday 30-day cycles. And within the strategy, really, strategy is solving the right problem.
Yeah.
And then, where do we focus? And so if you need to kind of come down a little bit, then, maybe it's strategize and focus in those 30-day feedback loops. But then it's like, okay, here it is. We've got 168, right? We've got 1 week, and what are we going to commit to this week? And so, like for us within the business side of things, and then daily's execution, right? What are we going to commit to? What are we going to win today? What are we going to execute on? And so, the way that we really try to look at it within our business is that, our job as head of companies, as CEO of our business and of our life, is that we're always planning for the future. We're always thinking, like you said, 3, 5, 10, 20 years down the road. But then we're strategizing on the biggest problem that's slowing us down from getting there. And then so we do that as a business, but then we focus on the 30 days, and that's where marketing comes in, right? What is our brand? What is the promise we're making? What's the offer we're making? Because business is just offers minus no's equals yeses. If you guys listening in, you're not getting enough yeses, it's because you're not getting enough no's. You're not getting enough no's. You're not making enough offers.
Yep.
And so that's where we focus. And then sales, right? We're all in sales. Like if you live life, you're in sales. You just have to accept that. And so, but what do we commit to for our sales focus? And then the entire team declares what they're going to execute on for the day. That's our rhythm, our cadence. So we create that space. And I think for, people listening in, if you're moving through a lot or like a lot of resistance, a lot of headwind, a lot of like, I don't know what to do, then you got to go back to what you were saying, right? Just simple. Just what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Where are our opportunities? What are our threats? Where do I want to be 5, 10 years from now? What are we doing or not doing that's making progress in that area to our strengths? Let's eliminate our weaknesses. And where are we at, right? That helps with the clarity side of things. Obviously we can, there's a lot more, but just as simple as that, right?
I think a lot of people, me included, get caught up in this is what I should be doing because somebody else said so, or because somebody else is doing it. Like for me, I'm still in production. I've been in production forever. The market corrected that. The market was not about to let me get out of production. And when you look at it, it's like, okay, what are you good at? Well, I'm good at listings. Like I'm obsessed with it. I can go into a listing appointment and pretty much rarely do I ever not get a listing. And so if listings bring money, listings bring market share, listings bring everything, listings grow a real estate company, period. It's the foundation in growth, period. And so it's easy to do I want to do listings forever? No. But you know what? I'm committed to doing what needs to be done right now to get us where we need to go. And people get focused on, I don't want to do this right now. Well, who gives a shit? Like, this is what needs to be done.
What is required?
Monday, I was like, here's the deal. What am I good at and what should I be doing? And these are the things that I'm going to focus on this year. And that's it. I'm good at taking listings. I'm good at training agents, and I'm good at growing our company. Those 3 things matter. And that's it. Anything else, I'm not doing it, and I'm not getting involved with it. And I'm not going to let anybody else pull me away from it because I am laser focused on this stuff. It's me. It's like people that are out there, and most of the world, 95% of the world pretty much is followers, and they get a paycheck and they know what they're going to make every week or every 2 weeks or every month or however that rolls. And there's less stress, I will say, than a business owner who's in a market like we're in, or an industry like we're in, where it can change in an instant and you got money bleeding out, like we're bleeding out money. And if I don't stay laser focused, we sink. It's on me. My family is on me. The company is on me. It's on me to perform every single day. And if I don't sharpen my skills and get crystal clear on what I need to be doing every single day, we lose. And I'm not a quitter nor a loser. And it's like, game on, game on.
Yeah. It's that thing, right? If it's to be, it's up to me. And, I don't know about you. I just don't want to put my life in somebody else's hands.
Oh no.
And so, I think understanding that and what am I doing today? And it come back to core values, right? 100-0, right? Extreme ownership. Like, it's all on me, 100%, responsible, zero excuses. And what am I doing today within my control to move my business and my life forward? There's one thing that my coach, Matt Townsend, shared with me, been a couple weeks now. And this is just a great freaking reminder, is that whatever you avoid imprisons you. So like wherever we're finding avoidance, what we're avoiding in our life, either be a conversation, be it a decision, be it, something, physically, something mentally, emotionally, misalignment to your values, things that you got to do, the difficult conversations that nobody ever wants to have. Anybody says they love difficult conversations is lying to you. Like nobody enjoys difficult conversations. And so it's just a great reminder, whatever you avoid imprisons you. And so as soon as you see something, do it now, right? That's kind of that type of mentality, is like it pops up, do it now. Because if you don't, it'll start to fester, and it'll become a fire. And then the fire puts out smoke, and the smoke, really, you think about it from, an EMT perspective and first responder perspective, most people that die from fire don't die from burns. They die from smoke inhalation.
Yeah.
And so, the fire, the bullshit that we avoid puts off the smoke that chokes everybody out, chokes us out. And so doing it now before it becomes a fire, because most people don't have the tools to deal with or put the fires out. So like you gotta have those, these things. We're coming full circle back to the way you think, and the way you think drives everything. And even when why it's so important, because our thinking drives the way we feel, and the way we feel drives the action or the inaction. And therefore our actions or inactions will determine the results. So like, me, like I tell you, I always go to the source. So like if I'm not getting the results and I'm not taking action, it's because I feel a certain way. And if I feel a certain way, I'm thinking a certain way. And then I go, okay, well, why am I thinking this way, Trish? What is influencing me to think this way? And then that's where I do a gut check of, what am I consuming? What am I listening to? Who am I talking to? Who am I around? This is why your circle is so fucking important.
Oh yeah.
More than anything. And if you have that one toxic person in your life, it's going to seep in, and it's then going to change the way you think. Yep. And if you keep that person or you keep that thought for an extended period of time, it becomes a belief. And do you know how hard it is to break a belief?
Oh yeah. 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 Well, you think of it like this too. They tell you too, when you look at people that are overweight, they tend to flock together. One overweight person's not going to run with 6 people that are fit. They're going to feel like odd man out. They're going to be uncomfortable. It's the same with people like us, where we're high achievers, we're visionaries, we're builders. We want to build this. I can't spend every day with people that aren't like me. It's not good for me. I won't allow it to rub off on me. It will irritate me, and I'll get angry, and I am in a bad mood. And that's not the way that I am. I need people like me, and I need to be around it. And and unfortunately, like, we're not around them every day because it's hard. Like one of the hardest things for me is, and someone said this to me probably like 3 or 4 months ago. I don't even remember who said it, but he was like, Trisha, you have to understand that you're not like everybody else. Like, you're different, and you got to stop trying to make people, your team, be like you, because they can't. They're not you. And very rarely, he's like, it would take 5 people to become you. Like, you got to take 5 people to do like your production. You're going to just need to pour into these people and train these people and just keep bringing on more people and bringing on more people. Because at the end of the day, to try to find and make another you is impossible because you can't make people do what they're not going to do. You can influence them and inspire them and hopefully motivate them and guide them. But at the end of the day, they're only going to do what they're wired to do and what they want to do. And that, John, is still so freaking hard.
It is. So the thing is that if somebody's going to put the output that you put, they're going to be a competitor. They're not going to be aligned with you. What you can do for them is teach them what drives you. And I would love to know exactly what's driving you right now.
I'll tell you what. It's funny that you say that. So I got involved in 2 collaborative books. So it's always been in my heart to write my own book. I have a story to tell. I started using drugs at 12 years old. I got kicked out of my house at 17. I quit school at 17. I only stopped using drugs because I got pregnant and I had to make a choice. Either I'm going to be a drug addict or a mom. And I chose to be a mom, thank goodness. And now I have 3 amazing kids and I've never done drugs since. And it's like, I wanted to write my own book. And so I did 2 collaborative books. And then through those 2, I now have an opportunity to do my own. I got approached to do my own. So I'm actually working on it right now, John. And its title is Yes, You Can. And the lady that's helping me organize the table of contents, we did it. We organized the table of contents. And so that took sessions, hour-long sessions on a Zoom. I don't even know this lady, but it was almost like therapy. And she dug deep into all the way back to before I went down the deep end before I started using drugs and what put me down that path. And then what are all these things that took me to where I am. And when I look back at my whole adult life, nothing has been easy. Nothing. It still isn't. I work out every day because I am obsessed with it because I'm obsessed with wanting to be the best version of me. And it's because I don't want to let my kids down. And because in 6th grade, that's when I determined all of this. It was in 6th grade, there was this turning point where I started getting picked on in school. And that's what shifted me to go start hanging out with the kids that were doing drugs because I fit in better with them. They were easier to be around instead of the cool kids. And that was a defining moment. And during those middle school years, I went through a lot of, you're never going to amount to anything. You can't do this. I ran the streets. I lived on the streets a lot. I was just a runaway. My mom couldn't contain me and my parents went through a divorce. It was those middle school years were super life-changing for me and not in a good way. And it was all those thoughts that you bury that are now have surfaced because of writing this book where it was oh, you can't do this. Oh, she's never going to do this. I look, and this is going to sound terrible, but I still keep up with a lot of those same people that said those things to me. I keep up through their face, and we're actually Facebook friends, right? And I look at what they've done, which usually isn't much, and what I've accomplished in my own world. And it's I'm not done yet. I want to show the world, yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can do whatever I set my mind to, no matter what's trying to take me down. I'm going to get up every day and I'm going to reach my goals. I'm going to reach my vision. And I want to get out there, John. And now, I told this girl that was helping me do the table of contents, I was one of my goals now is I want to go talk to middle school students and high school students because there's hope. Don't go do these things that I did. And there's hope. I don't know what your home life is like, but there's hope. And that's what drives me now is I actually believe I can make a difference in this world and change this world, whether it be one person at a time, one day at a time, because I don't want anyone to go through the things that I've went through. And it goes all the way back into real estate. When I was a solo agent, nobody ever said, hey, here's a lead. Hey, here's this. Hey, do this. No one. When I started climbing that ladder of success, they were closing doors oh shit, here comes Trisha. She's selling a lot of houses. Don't talk to her. Let's be an asshole to her. And it's okay, F you, you want to act like that? Watch, I'm just going to go sell more. And that just drives me to go out there and fight for because I'm a fighter. And that's what drives me every single day, John, is that I see other people that have reached certain levels of things and they're maybe not good people. I'm I'm just not there yet. It's coming. And when I get there, Ryan Serhant said it, I went to his conference last month And he said at his conference, he's like, stop being so freaking humble. Like, if you got good shit going on in your life, get out on the rooftops and talk about it, sing about it. Because you know what? Why not? Why not? There's nothing but negative stuff out in this world. And if you got good stuff going on, you should be proud of yourself for what you've done and get out there and sing about it. And I was like, no, like that. And so I told Paul that I was like, you know what? This year, I'm going to stop being like quiet about everything that we're doing, because we're doing amazing things in here. It's like, F that, like, and I told everyone, I'm like, scoring 24. This is our time, taking it.
Yeah, I love
That's
it.
what's driving me.
Without a doubt. And I knew there, because we all have that, right? Anybody that has a fire, there's the ignition somewhere. And, the more that you can lean into that, the more fuel it provides. And obviously, sometimes that's what we need to get going. But then having a bigger cause and a bigger impact, provides the sustainable energy. So it's a fantastic story, Trish. You're amazing. And, definitely sing it from the rooftops as you should. And I really appreciate you and jumping in here and adding a ton of value to the conversation. I was really looking forward to it.
I love talking to you, John. You're like I said, you've changed my mindset. Oh my gosh. Like, I preach still so many conversations that you and I have had. I continue to preach to our team because it matters, because you're brilliant and you're laser focused. And there's anyone that knows about clarity and regimented and being relentless, is you.
I appreciate that. You're amazing. Trish, thank you. You guys tuning in. Give Trish lots of love, get connected, and we'll when that book's ready, let's jump back on here and talk about it.
Count on that.
Awesome. We'll see you. Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.